they make their goods cheap. All right, and they make a lot of them, which is why they make so much money. Okay, they don't make them in good quality. That's why their stuff is always falling apart. That's why you always see a Honda Civic somewhere pulled over. All right, a wheel flying off, or axle or transmission going out, or something. All right, with those type of cars. Okay. And meanwhile, you got like BMW, which is Bavarian Motor Works. All right, or Mercedes or Audi. All right, their products and their cars are made much more with much more quality in mind. Okay, not just quantity. All right, so that's the point on that. All right, all those um countries are gonna be standing afar off. All right, weeping and wailing because they're not gonna be able to make any money off America anymore. And that's the only reason why they so-called like America and smile in America's face. All right, because really they're looking for America's downfall. All right, you read that in the book of Obadiah. Okay, we'll read that in the book of. In fact, let's go there. Okay, let's go to the book of Obadiah, because all these countries, they're not looking to make friends with you. Okay, if they are, it's only to make money off of you. Okay, it's only to make money off of you. So Obadiah verse 1, it says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord, power concerning Edom, the so-called white man. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small amongst the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. Who are the heathen? All the other nations. Okay, in America, and the so-called white man is greatly despised. Okay, these countries do not like the so-called white man, nor his country. Alright, proud Americans. Alright, verse 3, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, and saith in his heart, who shall bring me down? Alright, who the hell could that be talking about? Alright, what do the clefts of the rock represent? It's talking about at one point in age how the so-called white man dwelt in the Caucasus Mountains, hence why they have the name Caucasian. Okay, alright, and today you look at it, you look at these cities and these tall skyscrapers and such, that's all a reminder of where they came from. That's why they like living in those high tall buildings. Okay, ridiculously high tall buildings that you ain't got no business living in. Alright, it says, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou sit amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. Alright, thou exalt thyself as the eagle. What's the national symbol of America? Alright, it's the eagle. Okay, it's the eagle. You see that American flag and that eagle. If you go to a major sports event like the Super Bowl, alright, or whatever, some kind of event, and they're singing the national anthem, guess what you're gonna see? At some point you're gonna see a screenshot on a big screen, alright, of some person calling an eagle, or an eagle just flying around. Okay, that's America's symbol. Okay, so these countries hate you. Alright, they are greatly despised. These countries despise America. Okay, and if any countries puts on the front like they don't despise America, it's only so they can make money off America. Okay, so now let's go to Revelation 18, 11 and 18. Alright, because there's another reason why all these nations hate the so-called white man. You're going around destroying the earth, okay, not only with your military, but with your
I'd like
pollution.
to start out by saying
okay, and with
thank
your
you
genetically modified
to all the brothers and sisters that have come here today
seed,
representing this cause.
I've
been asked by Mr. Talk and the Tribal Council to speak to you and the members of the press
you just had a
about the
video
injustice
come out,
that's been brought against us by some government officials and big business.
Esau basically saying that
How many of you out there have heard of
now
alternative
grow
engines?
meat in a lab.
Engines that can run on anything from
Now, how
alcohol to
unsafe does
garbage
that
or
sound?
water.
Grow meat in a
Carburetors that
lab?
can get hundreds of miles
I
to
would
the
like
gallon,
my chicken
or
and my
electric or
beef
magnetic
to
engines
actually have
that
been
can practically
grown
run forever.
through a natural
You don't know about them
process,
because
right?
if they were to
Two
come into
cows or
use,
two chickens
they
getting
put the
together,
oil companies out
and
of
they
business.
mate, and then
The
they have
concept of the
offspring,
internal combustion
right?
engine has
Even
been
though all
obsolete
that's
for over
defiled
50
because
years.
the so-called
But
white
because
man
of the
has
oil cartels and
basically
corrupt government
tainted the whole
regulation,
earth through its
we and the
pollution,
rest of the world have been
right?
forced to
I would
use
still
gasoline for
prefer
over
my
100
food come
years.
through that
Big
process,
business is
right?
primarily
But
responsible
this
for
wicked
destroying the
devil
water we
decided
drink,
to grow meat in the
the air
lab.
we breathe, and the food we eat.
It's crazy, all right?
They have no care for the world they destroy,
11:18.
only for the money
And the
they make
nations
in the
were angry, and
process.
their wrath is come.
How many oil spills
And
can
the
we
time
endure?
of the dead that they should be judged.
Millions and millions
Thou
of
shouldest
gallons
give
of oil are now
reward unto
destroying
thy
the ocean and
servants,
the
the
many
prophets,
forms of life it
and to the
supports.
saints,
Among
and
these
to
is
them that
plankton,
fear thy name,
which supplies 60
small
to
and great,
90% of the Earth's
and shouldest
oxygen.
destroy them which
Supports the
destroy
entire
the
marine
earth. That's the
ecosystem,
so-called
which
white
forms
man. Okay.
the basis of our planet's food
He
supply.
can't enjoy
But
the
the
earth
plankton
was
is dying.
designed and made by the
I
Heavenly
thought, well,
Father to be a
let's go to
paradise
some remote state
to
or
his
country,
children. Okay.
anywhere on Earth.
And in the
But in
last,
doing a little
100
research,
years,
I
basically, a
realized
little
that these
over 100
people
years,
broker toxic waste all over the world.
between 100
And
and
they basically
115
control
years,
the legislation and
Esau
in fact, they control
single-handedly
the law.
brought the earth
The law says no
damn near
company
to the
can be
brink of
fined over
destruction, okay?
$25,000 a day.
to the brink of total
If a company's
destruction.
making $10 million a
Doing
day by
polluting,
dumping lethal toxic
right?
waste into
Doing
the
all
ocean,
kind of
it's
madness
only
on
good
the earth
business to
and stuff, which
continue
is not-
doing this.
Excuse me.
They
supposed
influence
to.
the media so that
Okay,
they
so
can
that's why
control
these
our
other countries,
minds.
they want to see you go
They've
down.
made it a
Okay, that's why you're going over there to Egypt and getting punched in the face, right? You're getting told to leave. All right, these countries are looking to see you go down because they know when you go down, they're gonna finally get their fair shake. Now, sure, they're gonna get their behinds whooped for about 1,000 years, all right. But then when you get put out of the scene, all right, and put out of your misery, basically, okay, and totally done away with as a nation of Edom, then all the countries and all the heathen are gonna get their fair shake, okay. We're gonna rule them, but they're gonna get their fair shake. They're gonna be all right, okay. They're gonna be our servants, all right. So now let's go to Psalm 73, and then one more scripture, and pretty much be done with the lesson. Let's read through this real quick, because this to a T describes a so-called white man. All right, this is the very description of many scriptures, but this is one of the real just cold cock description. I can't even talk right. I feel like that white lady who was stuttering on live TV the other night, which was kind of funny, by the way, if you ain't seen. But you know, it's neither here nor there. Let's read this. Psalm 73 and 1. Truly the Most High is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone, and my steps had well nigh slipped. For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. Hey, the wicked are prospering right now, right? Even the wicked among our nation, all right? But the focus is the so-called white man, because he still has the control of the whole earth, okay? He still got the super rich Illuminati families running around with millions, billions, and in some cases trillions of dollars, okay? He's got it like that. He's prospering. Meanwhile, we're in the ghettos and in the hoods, all right? Separated from the so-called white man and the other heathens here in America, all right, living check to check and dollar to dollar, and unemployed. Okay. Verse 4: For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm. All right, and the so-called white man's strength is firm. All right, he's got everything that he could have. Okay. Verse 5: They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Alright, and they live and they live deliciously, okay? They aren't plagued like the nation of Israel in particular. Don't get me wrong, you got Edomites, alright, that are jacked up and sick, alright? But ain't no nation on the planet Earth as plagued and as jacked up as the nation of Israel, right? None of the other nations have experienced in the full effect Deuteronomy the 28th chapter from the 15th verse on down, okay? This is verse 6. Therefore pride compasseth them about as a chain, and violence covereth them as a garment. And they are the violent, okay? They're the violent. Why do you think Yahushua said in the Gospels, he said, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force, okay? Who's the kingdom of heaven? It's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel, alright? And the violent, who's the so-called white man, alright, who has violence covereth them as a garment, has taken the kingdom of heaven, which is Israel, by force, alright, and by violence, and has enslaved us and jacked us up and done all manner of wickedness to us, okay? Verse 7, their eyes stand out with fatness, and they have more than heart could wish, alright? Their eyes stand out with fatness, meaning whatever they see, they get, okay? And up to this point, now they got their eyes set on outer space, okay, which they're not going to get, but that's how proud they are, you know. But to some extent, You have it. They've named stars and constellations after their Greek gods and